My man Czar make tracks like this.
What's going on, y'all? So I had a great time at the CD Baby DIY conference this weekend, but now it's time to get back to work. And this week I'll be mixing some songs for an artist named Rick Bills from Detroit, and his sessions are in Pro Tools. And I feel like this would be a good time to do a video on how to move a session from Pro Tools to Studio One, and later I'll do a video on how to move sessions from Studio One to Pro Tools. So I'm going to show you my approach for moving a session over, and the first thing we want to start with is making sure that everything is labeled. Good job by this engineer, because if you look at the tracks, everything is labeled. It's a real pet peeve of mine to receive tracks that aren't labeled. It's just not a professional look. The second thing is the tempo. We want to take note of the tempo. We see here the tempo is 91. So what I'm going to do is, when I export these files, I'm going to export it with the BPM in there as far as the session name, and I'm going to also put it in the master track for the beat here. Just put BPM 91. A really frustrating thing is to move everything over to Studio One and then not have your tempo and have to go back to Pro Tools to get the tempo. So we want to make sure that the tracks will be labeled with the tempo. So the next thing we're going to do is select all of the clips, and we're going to move these to start at bar 2. Let's zoom in here. Okay, so the reason we want to make this start at bar 2 is because I've noticed just over the years of moving sessions from DAW to DAW is that all DAWs don't start exactly at 1. If I export this from Pro Tools starting at bar 1, I put it in Studio One, line it up to bar 1, and then it won't, the files won't loop properly, or the track won't loop properly because it's not completely in sync. So Studio One to Logic to Pro Tools, all these different DAWs, at least I'll speak for Studio One, Logic, and Pro Tools, they all don't start exactly at 1. So by us making this start at bar 2, by the time, if all of them started at 1, everything will be in sync by bar 2. If you've moved sessions from DAW to DAW and you realize that certain tracks don't loop right, you'll understand why I'm saying this. So I make it start at bar 2. It's another frustrating thing is to get into Studio One and realize that I missed this step and have to come back and do it again. So once we have everything starting at bar 2, we're going to go to edit and consolidate files. This is going to make all of the files the same length, and that way we'll be able to just drag them into Studio One and have everything line up properly. Let's see if this takes a second. So while we're waiting on this, I want to also talk about the next thing to do. Okay, there we go. So we're ready. So you'll see that by consolidating, everything is the exact same length all the way out to the end. So when we get in Studio One, we can cut out this dead space, but in order for everything to line up properly, we want to consolidate. So now that I have it consolidated, we're going to go to, we're going to export them, which is on a Mac, I know Shift Apple K. And now pull up our export. Now, I guess we need to check the session information. So I'm looking for, okay, sample rate 44.1, bit depth 24-bit. Just want to make sure that we're exporting with those same settings. All right, wave file 24. See, this is set to 48. We want to make it 41 because we don't want any dithering going on in this. All we want to do is really export wave files so we can bring them into another DAW. Prompting each for duplicate, that is fine. Directory, what I like to do here is in the, which I've already done, but in the session folder, I have a just a folder called waves, which is the wave files. We're going to name a new one and just call this waves for Studio One. Okay, we'll export the files here. Okay, so I will let those export, and when that's done, I'll pull up Studio One and be right back. Okay, so I've got Studio One open here. I've already gone to create a new song. Got my song title. I've already set the folder. And we remember our sample rate was 44.1, bit depth 24-bit. I've set the tempo to 91. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK, open up a new song. Okay, from here we're going to use the drag and drop ability of Studio One. So one thing I went back and did was where I renamed that folder Waves for Studio One, I went ahead and added BPM 91 on there because I forgot to do that. Well, we're going to, out of curiosity, I wonder can I drag the folder? Let's see. No? Okay. So yeah, we'll grab these wave files, bring those in, and we're going to line them up on bar 2. All right, there we go. And we've successfully, let's shrink this a little. All right, and we've successfully moved the session now from Pro Tools to Studio One. We need to do some reordering here. And now if we like, we can remove these, remove some of this blank space. You can use strip silence if you want. And what I do is I leave it starting at bar 2, but I'll take my start marker and move that to bar 2. And then when I export from Studio One and I tell it to export from the start, it's going to start from bar 2 and not bar 1 where the start marker is set by default. And so any questions, comments, let me know. And I'll catch y'all next time.